Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Zachary Dixon here. Hope it's all been a wonderful weekend. This is a late post for Mondays, but it is Tuesday, so I hope it isn't too much of a hassle. And so last week we did every DCU group explained. It's much easier to do that video than to do the opposite universe of the every MCU group explained. Why? Because there are deceptively a lot more groups in the MCU just because of how long it's been going on. So I'll give you an overview from each phase in phases 1, 2, 3, and each phase in 4 and 5. And then there's about one group, at least in the prime universe of the MCU, that we have to discuss later on, that it still technically has existed all throughout, but only recently because of the multiverse saga. So, without any further ado, we have a good bit to go on through today, and so let's get into the video. Okay, so within phase 1 of the MCU, we have a total of 7 different groups within the phase. As we have, well, we actually have more than that. We have 8 actually, since technically the Incredible Hulk exists. We have about 5 films, and we have 9 actually. Well, those are people, not a group. Whatever, semantics. So I'll be going in pretty much chronological order with each individual film and describing them as so. And so the first film of the MCU, we have Iron Man 1. And so the people who kidnapped Tony Stark in the first Iron Man film is the first and real, not fake, the real and official Ten Rings organization, as this is revealed in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And so they do appear in that film. And so Iron Man becomes a part of a group later. And so after Iron Man, we have the Incredible Hulk, which includes the Strategic Operations Command Center, something like that. It's SOCC. It's a group organized by Thunderbolt Ross to hunt down the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk movie. And so now we have both of those. And so in Iron Man 2, we have nothing. We have like Tony Stark injured. We have Stark Industries. We have government organizations. No. We have Shield, which officially, after showing up in the late stages of Iron Man 1, is officially a part of the MCU in Iron Man 2 with Phil Coulson, Black Widow, and Nick Fury, all appearing in the film as they look towards possibly recruiting Iron Man / Tony Stark. And then in what I believe is next is Thor, we have the Asgardians, we have the Warriors 3, which are 3 of the 4 that are kind of the sidekicks towards Thor or just his companions as they go along adventures. Um, and so we have that. And so after Thor, we have Captain America, the first Avenger. And also in Thor, Hawkeye does appear in the film. And so then we have Captain America, the first Avenger, where we have not one, not two, but 3 different groups, 2 of which do not appear later, but that is for good reason. The first one is all the people around Cap in all their adventures and war battles. Golly. Wow, why am I tired? It's 11 a.m. Okay. So Captain America the First Avenger, the only film ever where Captain America does wield a gun, fun fact. And so all the like 5 or 6 individuals that are around Captain America as he's fighting his wars are the legendary group of the Howling Commandos, which fun fact, one of them is related to the principal, I believe he's the principal, of the Spider-Man Home trilogy, as Peter Parker is in high school. That's a little fun fact as well. And then the second group that does that The second group that doesn't appear ever again, but it's because they transform into a different group, is SHIELD. Strategic Homeland Interventions. Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement Logistics Division. And so they transform into SHIELD, and that is the SSR, which stands for Strategic Scientific Reserve, which is how Howard Stark, Peggy Carter, and Steve Rogers got added into World War II. And also, that includes where our third group comes in, which is the main antagonist of the first Avenger and our initial introduction to an Infinity Stone, which also um, um, appears in both the first Avenger and Avengers, and that's the Space Stone, where Red Skull reimagines himself and uses the power a lot. And Red Skull is the leader in the first Avenger of Hydra, where Hydra later on does appear again. And so now we are on to the first ever Avengers film, where we are into our eighth and final group of the MCU Phase 1, and that is the Avengers of Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, Thor, and Captain America as well, with Nick Fury in the mix. And so that is every single group of Phase 1. There's definitely going to be a longer video than the DC groups video, but I'm all here for it. And so off to Phase 2. All right, and so we have 6 groups in Phase 2 of the MCU as we introduced a few new franchises into the MCU, but we stay more so of the same. So, right after the first Avengers movie, we have Iron Man 3, where the fake 10 Rings take over and do these videos about being the Mandarin and wanting to take over the world. And so, why am I yawning? Okay. And so after that, we also have Thor 2, the Dark World, which has um the villains of it being the group called the Marauders, who try to take advantage of how the Nine Realms are converging and want to cause chaos effectively. Then in Phase 2 of the MCU, but was canon slash uncanon, but now is officially canon once again in the MCU, we have the Defenders, which don't officially come together until Phase 3. However, a group within the Defenders of the Marvel Netflix shows is the Hand that does appear all throughout the Defenders saga within the MCU. And so that is another group. That's an evil organization that wants to control power and is mostly based within New York, are also very much descendants of people who left Kunlun, a mystical realm of the Iron Fist, and want to go back and take that place over. Next, we have the first introduction of the Guardians of the Galaxy, where we have Root, Drax, Star-Lord, Gamora, and Rocket Raccoon with his wonderful gun. Those are the Guardians of Guardians 1, and then also in the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, we have the Ravagers being led by Yondu. Now, of course, in the last, now we do have Captain America the Winter Soldier. We have Hydra taking over the shield from within. And so those are 2 other groups that are within the MCU, but they're not as big within the MCU. It's really just one group taking over the other and stuff like that. And also, Hydra doesn't really have any prominent roles really past this phase at release. So Hydra's still kind of there, but isn't. It's a bit weird. I will acknowledge that we do have Shield, and within Shield we have the Agents of Shield, which the show is unknown to be canon or not within the MCU, so I'll just leave it at that. And so our final group within the MCU is the version of the Avengers at the end of Age of Ultron, which includes Hulk, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, um, the death of Quicksilver, and Wanda. Not the Scarlet Witch, but just Wanda. And so that is all the groups within Phase 2, a little bit shorter than Phase 1, mostly because Phase 1 has a good bit of groups that are in it and don't appear. But now we're off to Phase 3, where we do have a good bit of repeating and also a splintering within groups as well. All right, so now as we enter phase 3 and go through towards the end of the Infinity Saga, we reach the phase where we have the most groups actively in and being introduced ever within the MCU. So let's go through the full rundown. This isn't going to be the best in particular ordering. We do have the Guardians returning. We have the Avengers being splintered off between Team Cap, Team Iron Man, and those which that end up with Thor later on, which aren't official Avengers teams, but just teams and groups within it. And within Guardians 2, we have um Starkatar, Stakar, Ogards, the Ravagers offshoot team that is led by Sylvester Stallone's character. Then we have within Thor Ragnarok, we have the flashback that shows all the Valkyries getting killed off. We have throughout Guardians 2 and other various films within Phase 3, we have Gamora, Nebula, and the rest of the children of Thanos, aka the Black Order, being introduced steadily within Spider-Man: Homecoming, which is an early installment of Phase 3. We have the U.S. Department of Damage Control as they go into areas the where the Avengers or other different groups have caused havoc within the US and take over to take all the resources for themselves and for the government so that others don't really steal them, but they eventually do become corrupt. In Thor Ragnarok, we have Thor and his group called the Revengers, or just a small sect of the Asgardians, of which they are left. We do have the Defender sagas coming to its ultimate culmination in the Defender show. And so that is Iron Fist, Daredevil Matt Murdock, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. We do have Colleen Wing, and we can throw Elektra in there, but that does depend. We have the official reunion of the Avengers in Infinity War and Endgame. Then in Doctor Strange, the first one in, I believe, 2017, we have the Zealots, which are part of the villainous groups. They are the ones trying to rebel against the Ancient One, as the Ancient One is a hypocrite and doesn't really follow her own philosophies. We have the Collector, which appears in a few films throughout the MCU, and we have the Tavan Group Collection, which is the Collector's group that seeks to collect more. Then from the Punisher, season 1 and season 2, well, season 1 specifically, we have the Ganucci crime family, which does later appear in Punisher One Last Kill, so it'll get a mention later on as well. Um, I believe that's every. We also have every tribe within the within Wakanda. Those can that all each individual tribe can count as a group, including a group that's not a part of Wakanda but is close to, and that's the tribe that M'Baku leads. And then the collective all gathering group of Wakanda, led by Black Panther and his fellow other ones. Oh, we also have the Dora Milaje as well. And so that is all the different groups. We have like 12 or so different groups within phase 3 at the very least. And so it definitely has the most. And this is the end of the first saga of the MCU, the Infinity Saga. And on to phase 4, where we eventually learn phase 4 is the beginning of the multiverse saga. Alright, so now we move on to phase 4, where we have the lowest amount of groups ever in history, as we have so many different fragments of different things, and everything's fragmented and all split. We have about 5 different groups within this. We have the Ten Rings organization. We have the Flag Smashers. The Ten Rings appearing in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The official full backstory and full history and everything about the Ten Rings is in there. We have the Flag Smashers in the second ever Disney Plus show in The Falcon and Winter Soldier. We then also have the Wrecking Crew, which appears towards the end of Phase 4 in She-Hulk Attorney at Law. We have the Black Widows, which appears in the beginning of Phase 4 in the Black Widow movie. Um, that is all I can remember as far as Phase 4 groups, organizations, and everything of the like. And so this will be the shortest phase of the entire video. We have Phase 5, which actually has more groups than Phase 3. So, due to the sheer number of groups within Phase 5, I couldn't even fit them all on one slide to visually show. So, I'll have to be referred to other ones that have either already appeared or are new, just because there's just a lot of different groups. Oh, in Phase 4, we also have the TVA, the time variance of Ford, because that appears in Loki. Forget about that. So in phase 5, in no particular order, I'm going to try to be as good of an order as possible. We have towards the beginning of phase 5, well, in the early bits of phase 5, we have the Midnight Angels, both Okoye and Aneka, then which appears in Black Panther Wakanda, Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, Ibambe. Then in Echo, which is another early bit of Phase 5, we have the Tracksuit Mafia, which appears in Echo, and I believe also Hawkeye. Then in Guardians 3, we have the Guardians of the Galaxy team that appears throughout all 3 trilogies, and I believe it also includes Nebula now. And then at the end of Guardians 3, we have older Groot, we have Rocket, we have Adam Warlock, we have the guy who plays Yondu, and a few others. Those are the Post Guardians 3 crew, as Gamora and Nebula aren't in the group, and Star Lord isn't in the group, and Drax isn't. Well, Drax is in the group, I believe, actually. I don't know if he's ever going to appear in the MCU again, however. Then in Captain America Brave New World, we have the introduction of the Serpent Society with Sidewinder. Then we have the new Avengers and the Thunderbolts appearing in the same film as they were the Thunderbolts in the entire movie, and at the end they became the new Avengers. Now we also have in Phase 5, we also have the Black Knife Cartel, which appears in Echo. Then we have the Freedom Fighters, which are those stuck in the quantum realm and are fighting against Kang and everyone else involved with Kang. Now we also have the appearance of AIM, both officially and unofficially, as MODOK does appear, and so AIM may or may not be too far behind. Then we have the audience of the Council of Kings and the 3 main Kangs of the Council of Kings in Ramakut, and I forgot the other 2 to be honest. And then we have, do we have anyone else? Also we have Star Force that appears in Phase 3. Forgot about that one. Yeah, and so that is, in Phase 4 and Phase 5, we also have the Salem Coven that appears, which is Agatha's coven from the Salem era of the witch trials, and partially before then. And so that is all the different groups that at least I can remember, and I've done a little bit of research to gather them up of Phase 5. Now we are off to the last bit of groups from Phase 6 and beyond. So, starting off with at least Phase 6 groups, and then we'll go with beyond Phase 6 groups. We have the Fantastic Four that starts off Phase 6, and the Fantastic Four First Steps. And then in the Punisher One Last Kill television special, we have the Ganucci crime family reappearing and causing most of the havoc in Punisher One Last Kill. Then we also, let's see, we also have the Scarlet Witch contingent in Marvel Zombies that are pretty much the big bads all throughout Marvel Zombies. And of course, we have the good guy contingent, whichever name that is officially under. In Daredevil Born Again, we have the Anti Vigilante Task Force in season 1, but they're much more prominent in season 2. Yeah. And then, oh, I forgot. In Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that appears in season 1 in both Phase 5 and will now appear in Phase 6, is the 110th Street Gang. Now, outside of all those, we also have, let's see, do we have anyone else? Okay, we also have the new Avengers. That'll be in Avengers Doomsday. We'll have the X-Men from the Fox universe. We'll have the X-Men from the universe that Monica Rambeau appeared. Yes, I do still remember about that. It's been almost 3 years. It'll be over 3 years since that happened. Well, we'll finally get a reference. We'll have two different universes of X-Men. We'll have Avengers. We'll have the Fantastic Four and all that. And then after Phase 6, we'll finally have the MCU version X-Men finally appearing. Then we'll have an official Avengers group. I don't really know anything else besides that because I can't really predict the villains. And so I'll cap it off there. And so now we'll have the outro in just a moment. So, if you've watched all the way through all phases and beyond phases 6, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the MCU and further beyond that as well, my computer keeps on falling. This is so weird thing I have right now. So, yeah, right there. And so if you've watched all the way through, or even if you just watched a few parts to reiterate yourself before catching up into the MCU as we have Bright New Day rapidly approaching, and if you want to reorient yourself to other things within the MCU through X-Men 97 and you're getting a kick out of it, this is a great video for you. And I thank you all for watching. I hope you liked the video to get it around. Hype the video as well. I know that helps it circulate as well. Subscribe to the channel. We're on our road to 30 subscribers. We're at 21. Can we hit 30 before the end of August? And then hit that notification bell. Tomorrow's video will be all my reviews on every anime I watched all the way through in the spring 2026 anime season. The summer season is going very well. Then Friday we'll have the Defenders, I believe, or Daredevil, something like that. One of those two. And then I'll see you Saturday for a book content video. But I'll see you all tomorrow for some anime discussion. Have a good rest of your day, as this will be posted in the afternoon. Have a great afternoon. Have a wonderful time. Goodbye, and God bless you all.